Hare Krishna. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braje Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braje Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braje Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braje Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol. So thank you everyone for joining the class on Bhagavad-gita. Who here has had some familiarity with Bhagavad-gita? Raise your hand. Okay. Who's read the whole book? No. Okay. So it'll be exciting. We'll go through it. I'm sure a lot of you know the story more than me. So I ask that everyone please give me your blessings, that I can say something that is pleasing to Krishna and that's purifying for all of us. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra, text number 31. So it's on the board there. So I will recite and we can all, you can recite after me and we go line by line. Nacha Shreya Nupashyami Hatvasva Janam Avahe Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna Nacha Rajam Sukhani Cha Nacha Shreyo Nupasyami Hatvasva Janam Avahe Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna Nacha Rajyam Sukhani Cha Nacha Shreyo Nupashyami Hatvasva Janam Avahe Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna Nacha Rajyam Sukhani Cha. Does anyone want to recite the verse? Nacha Shreyo Nupasyami Hatvasva Janam Avahe Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna Nakangshe Rajam Sukhani Cha. Anyone else? Okay. So we will start. We will go word for word. Na, no. Cha, also. Shreya, good. Anupashyami, do I foresee. Hatva, by killing. Svajanam, own kinsman. Ahave, in the fight. Na, no. Kangshe, do I desire. Vijayam, victory. Krishna, O Krishna. Na, nor. Cha, also. Rajyam, kingdom. Sukhani, happiness thereof. Cha, also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Purport. Without knowing that one's self-interest is in Vishnu or Krishna, conditioned souls are attracted by bodily relationships, hoping to be happy in such situations. In such a blind conception of life, they forget even the causes of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral codes for a Kshatriya. It is said that two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies directly in front of the battlefield under Krishna's personal orders, and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture, are eligible to enter into the sun globe, which is so powerful and dazzling. Arjuna is reluctant even to kill his enemies, let alone his relatives. He thinks that by killing his kinsmen, there would be no happiness in his life, and therefore he is not willing to fight, just as a person who does not feel hunger is not inclined to cook. He has now decided to go into the forest and live a secluded life in frustration. But as a Kshatriya, he requires a kingdom for his subsistence. Because the Kshatriyas cannot engage themselves in any other occupation. But Arjuna has no kingdom. Arjuna's sole opportunity for gaining a kingdom lies in fighting with his cousins and reclaiming the kingdom inherited from his father, which he does not like to do. Therefore, he considers himself fit to go to the forest to live a secluded life of frustration. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Ivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Karambakanana Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasatyadi Shatarine. So welcome once again to the Bhagavad-gita class that we have every day here. So it's a really nice opportunity to delve deep into Bhagavad-gita by attending this class, either online or in person. In context, we're right at the beginning of Bhagavad-gita. So we're at the... Or maybe... So we're at the beginning of Bhagavad-gita, and this is right before the battle of Kurukshetra is about to start. So Arjuna has just seen the different people on the battlefield getting ready to fight. He's seeing his team, and he's also seeing his opponents, the Kauravas. And because the Kauravas are his relatives, his cousins, his teachers, his uncles, his grandfather, he's feeling very reluctant. So now, right before this, he's... What is this? This is very distracting, I have to be honest. I don't know why this is considered normal, but this is distracting. Anyway, so Arjuna is getting really overwhelmed by the fact that he is in battle with his family members and teachers. And his body is now showing the physical symptoms of distress and anxiety. His mouth is drying up, his body is shaking, his hair is standing on ends, his skin is burning because of the burning sensation in his heart, and his bow is slipping from his hand. So in the previous verse before this one, it is said that Arjuna actually cannot see things clearly. He is overcome by what Srila Prabhupada said, the weakness of the heart and weakness of mind. And he is overcome by material attachment. And that's why he's not able to see things as they are. He's only seeing this battle as a cause of misfortune for everyone. He doesn't see anything good coming from it. And therefore, he's overcome by fear and bewilderment. In this verse, he's elaborating on his feelings and saying that he doesn't even desire the kingdom or victory, because if it's going to cause suffering to his family members, he's not willing to do that. He says, how can I enjoy the kingdom if my family is dead? And we can relate to this in some way, because generally when we want to be happy, we think about who we're going to be happy with. It's our family, it's our friends, it's our relatives. We don't think of being happy alone. So Arjuna's calamity here is that he's thinking the way we would think, maybe in a conditioned way. And so in the Bhagavad-gita, in the summaries, it said that there's several reasons Arjuna gave as to why he doesn't want to fight. The first one is compassion, that he's a really soft-hearted devotee, and therefore he doesn't want to kill his family and his teachers. The second reason is that he's thinking of his enjoyment. He cannot actually enjoy the kingdom if he's killing his family. He feels like he won't be able to live with himself. The third reason is that he's fearing sinful reactions. And he said that to kill my family and to kill my teachers is actually going to send me to hell, because I will incur so much sin from this activity. And then the fourth reason is the destruction of the family traditions. He said that when the family is destroyed, then the family traditions, the rituals of spirituality that they do in the family are lost. And therefore, they're not carried down to the next generation. And that's how you get unchaste women or families breaking up. And then when families break up, they say that there's unwanted progeny comes. That means children who are born not in the right way. They're born out of lust and not out of dharma, to carry forth the tradition of the family. And when that happens, then everything is lost. So he gave some very good reasons. And in the purports, Srila Prabhupada often speaks of Arjuna as being materially conditioned or having material motivation or basically just being materially attached. But it's important for us to understand that Arjuna's position is not one of a conditioned soul like us. He's a pure devotee. He's a surrendered soul to Krishna. But he's taking the role of this materially conditioned person to give us an example. He is asking all the right questions to Krishna that we should be asking, so that when the answer comes in the form of Bhagavad-gita, we can all benefit from the Bhagavad-gita that comes. So he's not actually bewildered by material consciousness. He's an extremely exalted devotee. So in chapter 2 of Bhagavad-gita, there is a summary of the whole Bhagavad-gita. So if anyone hasn't read Bhagavad-gita, you can get a glimpse of all the knowledge in just reading chapter 2. But chapter 2 is where Krishna starts to refute Arjuna's reasons as to why he doesn't want to fight. So in chapter 2, he starts off dealing with Arjuna's reason of compassion. And he said that your compassion is misplaced because actually there is no death for the soul. And that's where Krishna is explaining that the body and soul are two different things. The body is temporary and the soul is eternal. And as you go through life, it's the same soul going through a different body as the body is changing from boyhood to youth to old age. The body changes, but the soul is the same. And at the time of death, that soul continues to live and takes a different body. So in that sense, Arjuna is not actually killing anyone because you cannot kill the soul. So he refuted that reason of Arjuna. Then he refutes the second reason, which is that Arjuna would be afraid, how will he enjoy his life after this? And Krishna says that actually a Kshatriya, which means warrior in Sanskrit, a Kshatriya's duty is to fight. And when they fight and win, they either enjoy the kingdom or they die on the battlefield and then get promoted to the heavenly planets. So either way, whatever the outcome is, Arjuna's enjoyment is guaranteed because he'll either enjoy the kingdom and then get promoted to the heavenly planets, or he will die on the battlefield and then get promoted anyway. So in that sense, his happiness, his fame, everything will be intact if he fights. So Krishna has now refuted the second reason, which is that Arjuna was afraid about not enjoying his life. And the next reason is Arjuna's fear of incurring sinful reactions. And Krishna also refutes that because he explains that actually, if you don't fight, you will incur sinful reactions. Because for a Kshatriya, it's important for them to perform their duty. Everybody is bound by their duty. So if he doesn't fight, he'll actually lose his reputation. He will bring inauspiciousness to himself. And actually, for a warrior, dishonor is worse than death. So if he dies on the battlefield fighting, it's more glorious than if he lives without fighting, without doing his duty. And at the end of this chapter, Arjuna does say, I'd rather just die unarmed on the battlefield. But Krishna is saying in chapter 2, no, you cannot do that because that would lose your entire reputation. You'll bring shame to your family and yourself. So in this way, Krishna is refuting all of Arjuna's reasons as to why he doesn't want to fight, slowly throughout chapter 2. And in this purport that we're reading, it says, he has now decided to go into the forest and live a secluded life in frustration. But as a Kshatriya, he requires a kingdom for his subsistence, because the Kshatriyas cannot engage themselves in any other occupation. So it's interesting because Prabhupada mentions in this purport twice, living a secluded life of frustration. And the implication is that for someone who is in the position of a Kshatriya, to renounce it will be frustrating. For someone who's not in the position of a Kshatriya, who doesn't have that nature, it's fine to live in seclusion, maybe. But for a Kshatriya, that kind of secluded life will be frustrating, not engaging in their duty. So in one of the purports to chapter 2, Srila Prabhupada says, the Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation, which is basically what Arjuna is trying to do. He's trying to renounce life, renounce the world. And in another purport, in chapter 2, Srila Prabhupada says, for a Kshatriya to be on the battlefield and to be non-violent is the philosophy of fools. In the Parasara Smriti, or religious codes made by Parasara, the great sage and father of Vyasadeva, it is stated, Kshatriyo hi praja rakshan, shastra pani pradanyadayan, nirjitya parasen yadi, kshitim dharmena palayat. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties. And for that reason, he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus, with religious principles, he should rule over the world. So, from reading this, I took away two important points. One is, there's so much mention of violence here. There's so much mention of religious violence, or this concept of sometimes it's actually necessary to be violent. And that may be bewildering for us in this world, to think, now scriptures and Srila Prabhupada is saying that sometimes it's necessary to be violent, but the idea is that it's necessary to be violent to protect others if it is your duty. If it is the duty of the government to protect the citizens, then they will have to be violent to criminals and rapists and murderers. They'll have to have jails. They'll have to have places to limit the scope of the crimes. And sometimes it is necessary to be violent, even in very severe cases. Recently, we were discussing in our reading group with a friend about how Srila Prabhupada is basically saying that if somebody commits a very heinous act like murdering children or murdering anyone, they should also be killed. And my friend was just bewildered because we come from a society, we all have our different cultural conditionings and conditioning of this world about how any kind of violence is bad. But what the scriptures are saying is that violence, when it has a purpose of protection and it's done by the right person, is actually good. And it's important to understand how we've all adopted, based on our conditioning and where we're from and how we grow up, we've adopted a sense of what is right and wrong. But the ultimate supreme morality comes from following the scriptures. So sometimes that kind of thing might not be palatable initially. We may not be able to just accept that sometimes violence is necessary. But another point to remember is that it's also stated in the scripture that if someone commits a heinous act, then by the laws of material nature, they will have to suffer for that act. And sometimes if they are killed or punished severely, then it takes away that negative karma from them, so that in their next life they can progress in a better situation for themselves. Whereas if you don't punish someone for very heinous wrong acts, material nature still holds that karma against them, and then their life continues to degrade until they pay off that karma. Because we're never karma free until we take to Krishna consciousness in this world. So another point that came up from these different purports we were reading is about our inherent nature and how we cannot actually change our inherent nature. So in Bhagavad-gita, throughout Bhagavad-gita, we read about the Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma. Our Swadharma is our duty according to this body that we have. It's Srila Prabhupada writes very beautifully that Swadharma is due to Varnashram, which is basically man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. It's a really nice way of describing how Varnashram is a stepping stone to take us closer to Krishna whilst we are still conditioned in our material bodies. And that's what our Swadharma is. That's something we cannot actually change in this life. It's inherent based on the qualities we've acquired from the modes of material nature, from the time we were born. And it's very much related to our bodies and mind, our psychophysical nature, where we are now. And then there's Sanatan Dharma, which is our eternal duty. That doesn't change. That's the eternal duty of the soul, which is Jivera Swaruphoy Krishnera Nityadas. The living entity is eternally, is constitutionally a part and parcel and servant of Krishna. So our Swadharma comes from the qualities, and these qualities are very much part of us. It's not something that we can fake or change based on a desire. I may desire to be in a different varna or in a different occupation, but it may not be possible. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. So in Bhagavad-gita, chapter 18, we have descriptions of the qualities of the different varnas, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. So in English terms, the Brahmanas are generally the teachers of society. The Kshatriyas are the warriors. The Vaishyas are the businessmen or people in charge of agriculture. And the Sudras are the servants of all the other orders. They're more like menial workers in some cases. So in Bhagavad-gita chapter 18, it is described, the qualities of each of these is described. And it says, Samo damastapa socham shantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam ashtikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So people who have these qualities by nature, they cannot fake it. They are naturally Brahmanical. And then the next verse says, Soryam tejo dhritir dakshyam yude chapya palayanam dhanam ishvara bhavascha Kshatram karma svabhavajam. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. So we can see that the qualities are very different between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. They're both glorious in their own ways, but one cannot fake to be the other. Someone who is naturally peaceful will not be able to easily just take up a sword and kill someone or fight because they're naturally peaceful. They may not have that heroism and power and courage in battle. And the opposite, somebody who's very much engaged in fighting in battle will find it very difficult to be very peaceful in a secluded environment, just meditating, because your mind has to be a certain level of peaceful to do that. So it's not something we can fake. And now we're seeing the example of Arjuna saying, I don't want to fight, I want to live in seclusion. And that's why Prabhupada said, this is a secluded life of frustration, because it's not going to work. So in a lecture, well, before I get there, let's say that, I just want to say one more thing. Generally, we see that Brahmanas are primarily in the mode of goodness. And Kshatriyas have to utilize the mode of passion in order to fight. So already, they're also governed by different modes. And in a lecture by Srila Prabhupada, which actually took place in London in 1973, where Srila Prabhupada spoke on this very verse, he said that his first thing that he said when he started was that Arjuna, there's two things, there's Shreya and Preya. And Arjuna seems to only be interested right now in Preya. Shreya means what is the ultimate good for long term. And Preya is just what feels good right now, immediate pleasure. So you can compare it to, and Srila Prabhupada did compare it to, like a child going to school would be Shreya, because it's going to further his education. It's a long-term goal, which a child may not want to do. But the child wants to sit and play at home. And that's Preya, because this child just wants immediate happiness and pleasure. But that's not going to help him in his long-term life. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that this is how we are actually. We're looking for immediate pleasure over long-term commitment, long-term goals, long-term vision. Something that feels nice now may not be the best for the long term, and something that's for the best long term may not feel nice now. So Arjuna is thinking, so Prabhupada said that Arjuna was thinking this way, that I want to enjoy with my family, I want to have friendship, I want to have love and the society friendship and love feeling. And he's not thinking about his future, that the right thing to do would be to fight and win the battle. But he's thinking of right now, like, I don't want to kill my family, I want to be with them. But the ultimate good would be to actually kill them and rid the world of the burden that they're causing. Because sinful kings exploit and ruin the whole society, not just their own lives. We see it very often in government. I'm from South Africa, so I know all about bad government. But and in many countries, we have bad government. It's very rare to actually have good, pious government. But we can see the effect of bad government. The citizens are never protected. They are always in anxiety. They're always in fear of bad things happening. Crime, rape, car hijackings, murders. All of this is commonplace in South Africa and in many other parts of this world when there's no strong government. So Arjuna is meant to be protecting the world from that. And right now the kings were sinful, and therefore he needed to rid the world of those kings who were sinful. And then he himself become the king because he is pious. So we can also think of this in terms of the mode of goodness and the mode of passion. Because Preya, what feels nice now, is very much in the mode of passion. I want to enjoy right now. And Shreya is in the mode of goodness, thinking of the long term. And in Bhagavad-gita, we also have those verses that explain what the mode of passion is characterized by and what the mode of goodness is characterized by. It says that the mode of passion feels like nectar at the beginning, but poison at the end. And the mode of goodness feels like poison at the beginning, but is nectar at the end. And we can bring it back to the situation where killing his family would feel like poison right now, but it's for the benefit of everyone in the long term. So that would be the nectar at the end. Whereas not killing the family would feel like nectar right now, like you can be happy right now, but the long-term vision of the world is that everything will be destroyed and crumble, and everyone will be unhappy. So that will be the poison at the end. So the idea is that above these two modes of the mode of passion and the mode of goodness, we need to get to the mode of pure goodness, which is to do what Krishna wants, more than doing what's right out of duty. Like first there's right, what you want to do based on your desire, how you can enjoy. Above that is what you want to do out of duty, which is in the mode of goodness. But the highest is to do something in the mode of pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, which is to do what Krishna wants, just for the pleasure of Krishna. So that's where we're trying to get to. We need to do the ultimate good. And Arjuna also comes to the realization by the end of Bhagavad-gita to do the ultimate good, which is to follow what Krishna wants him to do. And what does that mean? It means following the will of Krishna. And yesterday we had a really enlivening class by Gauranga Prabhu. If you didn't listen to it, please check online. I cannot say what he said because he says it perfectly, eloquently. But one of the points he made was the reason the gopis are at the highest level of devotion to Krishna is because they can simply dance to his tune. They can just follow exactly what Krishna wants. They can adjust perfectly to whatever Krishna wants immediately. And so he said to be on that level means to just adjust our life according to Krishna's plan very happily and easily without a fight, which is something I know I definitely struggle to do. If you learn how to do it, let me know. And another point Gauranga Prabhu mentioned yesterday is that it's not actually possible to understand the plan of Krishna. Sometimes we really just want to understand, like, what does Krishna want? What should we do? But one of the things he said is that it's not about understanding, doing the mental adjustment. It's just about adjusting. It's just about going with the flow of what Krishna wants for us. So, and it's called dancing to his tune. And so the whole Bhagavad Gita is just about getting Arjuna to that point of dancing to Krishna's tune, which in his case means to fight. For us, it may mean different things. Everyone here is in a different phase of life, in a different varna, different ashram. One may be a Kshatriya, one may be a Brahmana, one may be a Sudra. Whatever the case is, there is something that Krishna wants all of us to do. And the easiest thing and happiest thing for us to do would be to just adjust to the plan of Krishna. I saw this really nice quote on the School of Bhakti social media, so shout out to them, check them out, follow along. It's very inspiring. But I don't know who said it, but it said, this quote is that, burnout begins where service ends. When our work is no longer offered in love, it drains us instead of filling us. And I really resonated with that because it was all about understanding the purpose, why you're doing something. The question is not about what you're doing or how you're doing it or how long you've been doing something. The question is about why you're doing it. Sometimes we think that, oh, I've been doing this for so long, I'm just burnt out. I've been doing it for too long. But it's not about the length. It's about losing connection with the purpose or the focus of why we're doing it. And when we're not strongly connected to why we're doing it, then we end up in burnout. And the real purpose that lasts is when it's service to Krishna. That's the best purpose we can have for anything we do. And we can see that with Arjuna. He didn't want to fight because he was disconnected from that purpose of this is how I serve Krishna. He was just thinking, what would he want to do? What seems right morally? What would be comfortable for him? And that's why he was disconnected from it, because he's disconnected with the fact that this is Krishna's desire. And then throughout the Bhagavad Gita, when it comes up and he finally regains that clarity that, oh, this is Krishna's desire, so I'll do it. Then he does it with all vigor and all happiness. It's the same activity that he didn't want to do. But the reason he's got renewed strength and enthusiasm is because he sees that the purpose, that there's a strong purpose behind it. It's to serve Krishna. And then he saw that it was selfless service, so it became meaningful. Through the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes him see that this is meaningful service because it's selfless. It's not for you, it's for what Krishna wants. And sometimes we may think, how is all of this relevant to us? Like, we're reading the Bhagavad Gita, probably we won't have such a situation in our life where we have to kill our family members or we have such a horrible war with our family. Like, why do we talk about this every day, all year round? Why do we have so many celebrations? But we have our daily duties to perform. Like for Arjuna, being a warrior is his daily job, basically. We can see it as his job. And everybody has some duty to perform, some job that they're doing in life. And therefore, we can apply this thinking to our jobs. When we've been doing a job for too long and we're just burnt out because we don't know why we're doing it, and when we don't like our boss, it's draining, long hours, it's miserable, everyone at work treats us badly, we may think, why am I still doing it? Sometimes we will end up having the same conversation with Krishna, like, why am I still at this job? I want to quit. I don't want to do my job. And that's typically what Arjuna actually said, this is my job, I don't want to do it. But when we can connect even our work to Krishna in some way, if we can see how the work is benefiting our spiritual life, or if we can actually see our work as worship, then then we're like Arjuna at the end of Bhagavad Gita, where he can continue fighting with enthusiasm, and then we can continue working or doing our duties, whatever the duty is, whether it's being parents, whether it's running a school, whether it's running a business, whether it's working under a really difficult boss. We can do all these different things that are very difficult if we have some purpose connected, but the purpose has to be eternal. It has to be spiritual. Otherwise, it's not going to, if the purpose is just making money, that's going to expire very quickly, because very quickly we'll realize that money is temporary and it's not actually able to give us the happiness that we want from it. We think money will give us something, but it isn't. So that will expire quickly. If we're doing a job for fame or to puff up our egos because we want to be at the highest level in the company, that's temporary. It's a temporary feeling, because when you go up, you just realize there's just more burden and misery to take care of. It's easier sometimes being a low-level employee at a company than having very high responsibility. Your work hours go from 9 to 5 to 24 hours a day, because people are reporting to you and they have to constantly communicate with you, and you have very high responsibility. So when we do these things just for money, for fame, for prestige, for honor, it's a temporary result that we gain. But when we do something that's connected to Krishna, then he gives us the intelligence, he gives us the enthusiasm, and he gives us that stamina to keep going with whatever this is. So we can also look at it in terms of, we may not be fighting an external battle, but every day we're fighting the battle within the heart, within the mind of the 6 enemies: lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy, our own laziness, our hypocrisy, our quarrels, our distractions. We're fighting all of these every day. So, and we cannot give up. We have to continue fighting the way Arjuna did. So these days, it said that in previous ages, the good and bad were in separate people. Before it was in separate families. Then it became in the same family, but in separate people. But now in Kali Yuga, in the age we're in, the good and bad is inside the same person. So we have both good and bad within us. And our battle is that we're always fighting the bad. We want the good to win. So we can also apply everything we learned here to our internal battle and our external battle. And basically anything that prevents us from reaching our potential and fulfilling our purpose in life, we can see that as a motivation to keep fighting, so that we can fully unlock our potential of who we're meant to be and what we're meant to offer. So I can end there, and then we can take questions or comments or clarifications or just any reflections from anybody. Do you mean that, I'm just trying to understand what you said about the compassion, that you need to balance it, because in the current age, if you have like only compassion, you'll get exploited and taken advantage of? Yes, that's what I understood also. That's true. It's essential to be compassionate, but sometimes when we over-endeavor, then we could get very, very badly taken advantage of. And that's why we learn from the scriptures of what true compassion means. Sometimes we think compassion means that if I see a child who's lost his parents in some way, then my duty is to take care of the child, pick him up, take care of him, take him to my home, feed him, put him through schooling, provide all necessities to him. And in that way, I'm compassionate. But actually, more compassionate would be if I took the child and connected the child back to their own parents. Because their own parents know how to take care of them. They know everything the child wants. They know about the allergies. They know all these different all the dynamics of the child. So in the same way, the highest compassion we can do is to connect all living entities back to their Supreme Father, that's Krishna. We may think compassion means to do good and be good and to make some material arrangement for people, like, I don't know, some donating money and just kind of trying to help the material circumstances of another person in different ways. And while that is helpful, it's not ultimately eternally beneficial to them, because we're only helping the temporary body get some comfort. But our main business is to uplift the soul, to connect the soul back to Krishna, because that's an eternal connection. To get the soul out of the cycle of birth and death. If I build a house for someone, they're still gonna, when they die, they're still gonna come back to the material world. But if I connect them to Krishna, then when they leave their body, they'll go back to Krishna. So that's the best thing. And with Krishna, they have everything. If they come back here, they'll have to suffer here again. Go through all kinds of miseries, as we all go through in the material world, because that's the qualification of being in the material world. We go through miseries. That's like the description of the material world. Dukkhaliyam asasvatam. Place of misery at every step. So that's why we're here, trying to share the Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So if anybody is eager, please distribute the Bhagavad-gita. Take it, read it, share it, give it as gifts to your family and friends. In any way, whatever way you feel like, please get the message of the Bhagavad-gita out. Post about Bhagavad-gita on social media. Write songs about Bhagavad-gita, write poems, make plays about Bhagavad-gita, make videos about Bhagavad-gita, whatever way you can. Get this eternal message of Krishna's dialogue with Arjuna all over the world, because that's the ultimate benefit that can bring strength to everybody.
Can I just share something with you?
Yes.
I'm really struggling with this right now. When you talked about Arjuna, after having spoken to Krishna, having the vigor to complete his task, in a literal mind, what we're saying, and it's mirrored in the present world that we're living in, is that he's got the vigor and the joy to go and create a massacre of people and a lot of bloodshed. And that has a very emotive parallel with 15,000 children being killed at the moment. A world war going on at the moment, which is a massacre of people.
Yeah.
And yet, it's a difficult world to live in as it is, but when we're holding up an example of somebody being given the boost to go and slaughter people, and a soldier is a soldier, a Kshatriya is a Kshatriya, the modern day equivalent is a soldier that follows orders, regardless of what they think, they have to follow the order of a violent act.
So I would too. No, I understand your question, because I would too. Technically, in the modern context, the soldiers we have today are not actual Kshatriyas. Because Kshatriyas, one of the qualifications of the Kshatriya from the scripture is that they always follow scriptural injunctions. They're not following a dictator or a leader who's selfish and wants power for themselves and just wants to destroy the world, and therefore that is not Kshatriya. What we see with the soldiers is not Kshatriya. That is lower than Sudra, because they're causing distress, they're causing harm, destruction to the world. But Arjuna is a Kshatriya in that he follows moral codes. If we read the Mahabharata and other scriptures, Arjuna is from a very exalted family of devotees to Krishna, devotion, and they follow strict moral codes. And that's why he was struggling with this, actually. And it was just the fact that Krishna, who is God and who showed him his universal form, like proving to him, I'm God, you can listen to me, in one sense. Only when he knew that this is religiously the right thing to do, then he could do it. It's not that this is now a license to have war. In present day, none of the wars are enacted with this mentality that this is for Krishna and this is for the service, and this is also to annihilate sinful kings, because all the governments we have in the world are pretty much sinful. So if we're going to apply this, then everybody would be killed, to be honest. All the governments would be killed because they're all sinful right now, to the most part. There might be some good ones, I don't know. But for the most part, they're all sinful, and therefore none of them can be qualified as Kshatriyas. With that, we will end the class because I don't want to go over. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol.